Ashanti Sequoia Douglas, known mononymously as Ashanti, rose to fame in the early 2000s with a voice that blended sultry R&B melodies with hip-hop beats, an image that fused girl-next-door charm with diva glam, and a work ethic that set her apart in a competitive music landscape. Her rise was fast, her influence widespread, and her legacy continues to echo through the generations of artists that followed. But behind the platinum records and chart-topping hits lies a deeper story of ambition, artistry, reinvention, and resilience. Ashanti was born on October 13, 1980 in Glen Cove, Long Island, New York, to a musical family. Her mother, Tina Douglas, was a former dance teacher, while her father, Kincaid Thomas Douglas, was a former singer. Growing up, Ashanti was surrounded by rhythm and soul, and from a young age, it was clear that she had talent. By the time she was a teenager, she was writing poetry and singing in the house, influenced by artists like Mary J. Blige, Whitney Houston, and Mariah Carey. Tina recognized her daughter's gift and took an active role in managing her early career. Ashanti was enrolled in dance classes, acting auditions, and vocal coaching sessions. Her first big break came not in music, but in acting, when she landed small roles in films such as Malcolm X and television shows like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. But even as she explored acting, her heart belonged to music. During high school, Ashanti began working with producers and songwriters, penning lyrics and recording demos. She turned down several early record deals, choosing instead to refine her sound and hold out for the right opportunity. That opportunity came when she caught the attention of Murder, Inc. Records CEO Irv Gotti in the late 1990s. Gotti, who was building a hip-hop empire with artists like Ja Rule and DMX, saw potential in Ashanti's voice and presence. At the time, the music industry was dominated by boy bands and pop princesses, but Gotti believed Ashanti could be the female voice that complemented Murder, Inc.'s gritty urban brand. Ashanti began recording hooks and background vocals for the label's biggest artists, including Ja Rule's Always on Time, and both of which became massive hits, and put her voice in heavy rotation long before her solo debut. Then, in 2002, Ashanti released her self-titled debut album. The timing was perfect, and the impact was immediate. Her single Foolish topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 10 consecutive weeks, becoming one of the year's biggest records. The album sold over 500,000 copies in its first week, a record for a female artist's debut at the time. Ashanti became a household name almost overnight. She had the voice, the look, the swagger, and the backing of one of the hottest labels in hip-hop. That same year, she made history by having 3 songs, Foolish and Always on Time, in the Billboard Hot 100's top 10 simultaneously, a feat previously achieved only by the Beatles. She won the Grammy Award for Best Contemporary R&B Album and was crowned the Princess of Hip-Hop and R&B. Her blend of smooth vocals, relatable lyrics, and hip-hop collaborations set a new standard in urban music. Ashanti followed up her debut with Chapter II in 2003, which featured the hit singles Rock With You, Oh a Baby, and Rain on Me. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and further solidified her status as a major star. But with success came pressure. Critics began to scrutinize her vocal range, her songwriting, and her relationship with Irv Gotti. Rumors of romantic involvement swirled, and the media began to turn their gaze from her music to her personal life. Undeterred, Ashanti kept working. She released Concrete Rose in 2004, which included the hit single Only You. While the album did not match the success of her first 2, it showcased her growth as an artist and her willingness to evolve. She also continued acting, starring in films like Coach Carter with Samuel L. Jackson and John Tucker Must Die, expanding her presence beyond music. However, a major storm was brewing at Murder, Inc. In the mid-2000s, the label and its founder, Irv Gotti, came under federal investigation for alleged ties to drug kingpin Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Though Gotti was eventually acquitted, the legal drama took a toll on the label's operations, reputation, and finances. As a result, Ashanti's career momentum began to slow. With Murder, Inc. losing influence, Ashanti found herself caught in the crossfire. Her relationship with Gotti became strained, and creative differences emerged. By 2009, Ashanti officially parted ways with the label that had launched her career. It was a difficult decision, but one that signaled her desire to take control of her music and her narrative. The years that followed were marked by reinvention. Ashanti launched her own label, Written Entertainment, and began releasing music independently. In 2014, she released Braveheart, her fifth studio album and her first as an independent artist. The project debuted at number 10 on the Billboard 200 and included singles like I Got It featuring Rick Ross. While it didn't make a major commercial impact, Braveheart represented a turning point in her career, a declaration of artistic independence and ownership. Outside of music, Ashanti focused on entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and writing. She published a book of poetry, launched fragrance lines, and continued acting in TV shows and movies. She became an advocate for women's empowerment, using her platform to speak out on issues such as domestic violence, bullying, and female independence. In 2008, she partnered with the organization It's Time to Talk Day to raise awareness about relationship abuse and emotional health. She also became more open about her personal life. Her long-rumored relationship with rapper Nelly became public knowledge, and though the two eventually broke up after a decade-long on-and-off relationship, their pairing remained one of the most talked-about celebrity relationships in urban music history. Years later, they rekindled their romance, with public appearances and interviews confirming they had found their way back to each other. As the 2010s progressed, Ashanti embraced her legacy while continuing to evolve. The rise of streaming and social media allowed her to engage directly with fans, and a new generation of listeners began discovering her early work. Artists like Kehlani Normani and Ella Mai cited her as an influence, and samples of her hits appeared in contemporary songs, proving her impact had not faded. In 2021, Ashanti was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a full-circle moment for an artist who had navigated the highs and lows of fame with grace. The ceremony featured heartfelt speeches from friends, collaborators, and family members who praised her humility, strength, and groundbreaking contributions to R&B and hip-hop. That same year, she announced plans to record her debut album, taking a page from Taylor Swift's playbook to reclaim ownership of her masters. It was a powerful move, one that underscored her decades-long journey from major label star to independent mogul. She wanted to own her narrative, her sound, and her future. As of 2024, Ashanti continues to perform, record, and create. Her tour are well attended, her social media presence strong, and her business ventures expanding. She's involved in film and television development, with several projects in production. She remains a red carpet favorite, praised for her fashion, poise, and timeless beauty. But beyond the glitz, Ashanti's real legacy is rooted in her authenticity. She never pretended to be anything she wasn't. She wrote her own lyrics, protected her brand, and took risks when it mattered most. Her early success was no accident. It was the result of talent, timing, and hard work. And her longevity is no fluke. It's the product of resilience, reinvention, and heart. Ashanti's story is one of pioneering influence. She was the first female artist to truly blend R&B hooks with streetwise hip-hop in the early 2000s mainstream, paving the way for artists who would follow. Her success opened doors and challenged assumptions about what female artists could do in male-dominated spaces. Her name may not always top the charts today, but her music still plays in clubs, her voice still floats through playlists, and her impact still shapes the culture. To her fans, she's more than a star. She's a symbol of strength, talent, and independence. Whether it's the opening piano of Foolish, the hypnotic beat of Rock With You, or the confidence of Only You, Ashanti's music is a time capsule of a golden era, and she remains its queen. From a teenage girl writing poetry in Long Island to a Grammy-winning artist, actress, and entrepreneur, Ashanti has lived multiple lives in one. And through every twist and turn, she's remained true to herself. She is not just a survivor of the music industry, she is a master of her own destiny. And her story is far from over.